Hello there everyone and welcome to John Drinks, the channel in which I, John, have a drink. It has been a hot minute since I did a gin. I think the last time I did a gin was it Bombay Sapphire? That doesn't sound quite right. I don't think that's right. But anyway, it's been a while. I've been focusing a bit too much on whiskey and beer. Mead made a surprise appearance recently, so it's nice to be sort of back to an old favourite. Gin's not necessarily sort of your go-to winter drink. Maybe that's just me, but you know, particularly sort of standard London dries wouldn't normally be the kind of thing that you go to for winter. But there is a reason that I'm covering this today, and the reason is the mad lads at Jüst, which is how you pronounce that. And I wouldn't know that if there wasn't some paperwork that came with this. And the reason there's some paperwork that came with this is these guys actually reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to have a look at our bottle? And I sort of sent right, so I've had a couple of companies approach me in the past and be like, hey, do you want to try our stuff? And I sort of send along a few bullet points, essentially along the lines of, that's fine, but essentially I'll call it as I see it, which I think is fair enough. Because I think if you're going to be approaching people to review your product, you should be confident enough in its abilities to stand up to criticism. So, these guys are the first people that have actually said, yeah, that's fine. So brave, if nothing else. So I'm actually quite looking forward to this, because some guts. This is a Swedish Dill gin. Little unusual, I know. I kind of like the madder botanicals gins. Gin's a bit of a weird category at the minute. It's going through sort of a weird time, as are we all, to be fair. I think a fair few people are starting to sort of hone in on the ones that they know they like, and they're sticking with old favourites. They're getting a little less adventurous. Could be partly to do with market saturation, I don't know. But I still like a new gin. There's loads of bottles that I still see out, and I'm like, quite like to try you, and then for whatever reason I don't. So I'm excited to give this a go. It says, with a hint of Swedish dill, smooth and dry, crafted and bottled in Borgensberg, Sweden. I'm almost certainly pronouncing that wrong. There's nothing really that it says for itself on the back other than it's 41.3%. A little bit of an odd ABV, but you know, it's over the bog standard bare minimum, so I like it. And there's a little tag that they put on with my name and a word in Swedish that I'm not even going to try. I have no idea. I'll maybe flash it up on screen now, and if you speak Swedish... Actually, Moa, give me a phonetic lesson down below, if you wouldn't mind, because I don't even know where to start. I've got some paperwork with this, and then I swear I will try some gin. I will drink some gin. So, where shall I start, actually? Okay, so this is like some brand guidelines that got sent along. I think these are what would normally be sent to sort of reps and stuff if they were going to be talking about stuff and just kind of like... I've seen these kind of things before because I work in hospo. So you get these kind of guidelines if you're introducing teams to new stuff, or you've got like a new menu launch and you want sort of like your summarised points. You get them quite a bit. Jüst is a first of a kind, a small batch dill flavoured gin crafted by two master distillers in Borgensberg, a small town in Sweden. Jan and Anders set out to create a high-quality smooth gin that excelled in balance and flavour with just a handful of unconventional botanicals that deliver its unique taste. Well-balanced, exceptionally smooth, fresh dill-flavoured gin from Sweden, pronounced Jüst, embodies the Swedish culture of simplicity, style, consideration and moderation. Not too little, not too much, just right. I'm assuming that's their slogan. And some bullet points as well. Stored for 2 weeks to let the flavours steep, fresh Swedish dill, exceptionally smooth, can be served with just ice, which is something we're going to be trying, because I like me a sipping gin. I like me a sipping liquor, period, to be fair, but I like me a sipping gin. And juniper berries from the Austrian Alps. So that's exciting. It's nice as well that we get a little bit of extra sort of terroir when it comes to, because juniper, obviously, big component of gin. I mean, not all gins on the market, admittedly, but it's supposed to be sort of the core ingredient. So it's actually nice to know specifically where it comes from. There's a little bit more of a talk about the botanicals that go in it as well. So lead with Swedish dill, comprises of juniper berries from the Austrian Alps, paradise grains from West Africa, sweet and bitter almond from the Mediterranean, and licorice root from Ceylon. So it's nice to know sort of like where all these different ingredients are coming from. 'Cause again, normally if you look at the botanical bill, some will say, you know, this is from there, but a lot don't bother. Signature serve, 1 part Jüst Dill, 4 parts tonic, blueberries. Oh, bugger, I forgot the blueberries. I do this every time. Every time I have a gin, I forget about the damn garnish. Just pretend there's some blueberries in there. Oh, I'm so not nailing this. Okay. The process. Meticulously handcrafted using small batch production techniques, Jüst comprises only the freshest botanicals, stored in a small steel tank for at least 2 weeks, allowing the fusion of botanicals with the Austrian juniper berries. Now, this is the bit that actually caught me, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm on board with these guys now. In Sweden, we have a philosophy called lagom. Again, Moa, please correct me for God's sake. And it means not too little, not too much, just right. The Swedish proverb, lagom, oh no. I'll try. Lagom are bast. It's nowhere near, is it? No. Literally means the right amount is best, or enough is as good as a feast. We want to bring something a little different to gin, and leading with dill creates a uniquely fresh flavour that stands on its own. It was our mission to create a gin that could be enjoyed with minimal tonic or just ice. As you know, if you've watched any of my gin reviews before, I tend to go quite sparingly on the tonic anyway, so again, into that. We think times are changing. People are beginning to drink less, but drink better, which is why we set out to create a gin with a unique, smooth flavour to be enjoyed with consideration. I completely agree. And I don't just completely agree because they sent me a free bottle of gin. I mean, you know, that's nice, but if I thought they were talking crap, I'd say so. I did actually email them back and just be like, is there any particular tone or points that you want me to, you know, do you want me to sort of err on the side of caution? Because obviously, you know, they're sending me something and it's nice not to completely, like, you know, bite off the hand that feeds you sort of a thing. And they literally just said, no, just do what you normally do. So I'm trying to mind my P's and Q's because I kind of feel like I'm, you know, visiting your great aunt or something at the minute. You've got to like be on your best behaviour, but fuck it, maybe I should just, you know, dill's lemony sweet flavour and aniseed-like aroma is characteristic of many Swedish dishes. The word dill itself comes from the Old Norse word diala, dilla. I'm getting mixed up with the copyright-free music I sometimes use, aren't I? Meaning to soothe or lull. Perfectly... Bornsberg? I'm really not nailing this, am I? Okay. Sweet. So, I'm going to stop reading now, because otherwise this is just going to turn into story time with John, which, to be fair, would not be a bad thing, but there's a bottle of gin here, and it needs to be drank. Also, my ice is melting. So, I'm going to try this. Oh. Yeah. There we go. Oh, love that noise. Mmm. Zesty. Okay. Let's pop that in there. I was going to say it's quite a healthy slug, and then I remembered there's ice in there, so it's going to look like there's more in there. I'm fine, honestly. Also, do you like my new gin goblet? I've been vintage shopping. I've been going to charity shops and buying lots of homeware for reasons that will become abundantly clear in a few weeks, so stay tuned for that. Oh, I nearly forgot to mention as well. First point of criticism. So, Jüst, if you're watching this so far and going, oh, this is going better than we were expecting. This bit of wood you stuck in, don't get me wrong, I like a bit of wood. Steady on. But, if I had a criticism, why did you write the name of the company in Sharpie marker? I get the whole sort of homespun thing, and to be fair, it works with something like a label. That's quite cute. But I don't know why, because it's essentially the same thing, but it doesn't work. It just looks childish. recommendation, if you're going to be making this as part of like the outward serve kind of thing, a stamp instead. You can get rubber stamps done pretty cheaply, or even knock one together yourselves from like little letters or something like that if you need to, and just stamp the wood instead. It looks cleaner and it's probably a bit quicker as well than just writing it on. This might be the first time that you're doing it, I don't know, but I don't feel like I'm doing my job properly if I don't say what's not working. And this kind of stuck out to me more than it probably should have done, because it's really insignificant. But yeah, I just looked at it and went, that's not quite worked, does it? So it's a nice piece of wood though. If you're wondering as well, this tree was 28 years old when it was felled, so that's the kind of attention to detail that you get on this channel. I'm furloughed, what else am I going to do? Okay, so on the nose, really very herbal. I don't want to say it smells like dill because that just seems ridiculously obvious, but it does smell like dill. It's very lemony and herbal. Jeez, the dill really does actually come through. You know, like how sometimes with gins, they're like, oh, this botanical's in there. It can go one of two ways. Either you're like, oh, hell yeah, yeah, no, I'm getting that. Or you're like, is it? This is definitely in the first camp. This is, yeah, no, it's in there. Which, to be fair, if you're going to make it such a prominent part, you better make sure you nail it. And it smells like they have. Okay, so to try it chilled, the dill aspect's actually really subtle, but what I do get is loads of lemon. And then this like super fresh, slightly grassy herbal note comes through afterwards. You can tell there's dill in there. You can tell there's dill. Do you know, I'm already thinking like what you could use this with, and straight away I'm thinking a dirty martini would go really well, actually. Because they're all super fresh. And then having it with like a bit of pickle brine and then the vermouth on top of it as well, I think that would play really well. But I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit here. There is a juniper bitterness, but it sort of takes a little bit of a back seat to the herbal lemony components. Gins tend to get broken down into, I suppose, 4 categories really. You've got your super bitter juniper heavy ones, you've got your lemony bright ones, you've got your sweet bullshit, and you've got your spicy ones. I think I'm fair in saying that's the break. There's going to be people that disagree with me, and if you do, fair enough. But they're sort of like your 4 tenements. Tenements is not the right word. Your 4 stalwarts? What are those big columns? No, plinths? Plinths? I don't know. They're the 4 horsemen of the bloody apocalypse, whatever I'm trying to say. When it comes to gin, this is the lemony bright one. Is the point that I am trying to squeeze out of this. Okay, that's a nice gin so far, but was allowed with a bit of tonic. I'm going with the refreshingly light today because I need to lose 9 stone by Christmas. So, pop that on bit of wood, cover up the Sharpie. So, the herbal nose hasn't really dissipated much, and it's still quite lemony, but there's a little bit of a sweetness coming through on it now. If anyone's ever tried white chocolate that's got herbs in it, super niche, I know, but I live in Edinburgh. Every other shop's a hipster shop, so I'm just kind of used to this kind of nonsense now. But white chocolate and herbs, A, it works, try it. B, well, again, Interesting. Once you add tonic, the juniper comes to the party way more than it did neat. So neat, you've got your lemony herbal notes. The juniper sort of takes over from the lemon, but the dill carries on through, but it becomes more of kind of like a sort of a light vegetal kind of a flavour rather than a grassy lemony kind of a one. So the dill character's still there, but it sort of changed a little bit, switched it up. It plays really nicely with tonic. I've not poured too much tonic in there because that's my way. I would not recommend drowning this. I don't recommend drowning gins at the best of time because at that point you're just sort of missing the gin. I don't get the point of people that pour an entire bottle of tonic in. Yeah, it stands up to the tonic, but I get the feeling that if the balance was tipped too far away the other way, you're losing it. But again, with most gins, it's delicate, there's a bitterness to it, but that's not overwhelming. It is a little bit nutty as well. If I had a gun to my head, would I say it's almonds? Probably not. Just because almonds are already quite a subtle flavour anyway, and it can be a little bit difficult to tease them out sometimes. But there is something sort of like generically nutty that's firing off in my brain. I'm like, yeah, you got nuts in your mouth. I don't know if this is going to be usable, guys. I'm sorry. I tried my best. I did forewarn you, to be fair, and you said yes. So really, this is your fault. To be fair, I mean, lots of endorsed videos, ones where they say, oh yeah, you know, just say whatever, and then you see them and they all look and sound exactly the same because they've actually been given all these bullet points they have to hit. What's that, like, game on League of Legends or something like that, you know, where they all go, oh, look at all our endorsements, and they're all sort of copy and paste basically, and it's like, okay. Okay, so at least you tell not that. I mean, I've been up front as well, you know, they've sent stuff, you know, they've given me loads of spiel, and I've regurgitated that to you in a friendly but lovable way, and I've, you know, dumped all over their bit of wood, so oh, that came out wrong. If you like your gins mega bitter, it's probably not for you. This is more kind of leaning towards the floral, citrusy kind of a vibe. And if that's kind of where your taste in gin goes, this is a great example. It's a good one as well for people that like sort of like their Mediterranean gins or their coastal gins. Dill makes it a super characteristic gin, and that's what helps it kind of stand out. Which is just as well, really, because if you're going to enter the gin market in 2020, you've got to make sure you've got something that makes you stand out, because there is so much to choose from. I mean, even I've sort of stopped paying attention to every new release, because there's about 10 a day. The category is not slowing down, but it's just sort of this overwhelming wall of choice. Which I think people have kind of almost gotten burnt out by. So it's nice to see one that's just kind of focusing on, okay, this is what we're going to do, and we're just going to do it well. In case you can't tell, I like this. It would be really awkward if I was like, oh, I hate that. I was a little bit worried, to be honest, because I didn't pre-try this, which probably would have been the sensible thing to do. But I was like, no, I'll go in blind. It's fine. They've got the guts to send it out in the first place, so let's give it a go. I dig this. It's nice. Yeah, you could totally have this neat. I think it would be fantastic in cocktails. You want one where the gin plays quite well. Negroni could be quite fun, actually. I think that would work really well. So those are my thoughts on Jüst, a Swedish gin made out of dill. And do you know what? You can tell, and it's nice. There's my thoughts. Comment down below, have I completely butchered the Swedish language? The answer is yes. Thumb the video if you enjoyed this, and also thank you very much to Jüst for sending along a bottle. You are brave, potentially insane, but brave. I don't know if any of this is usable. If it is, I'll be amazed, to be honest. But the Spark Notes version is, this is nice, it's robust, it's got a lot of character to it, and it stands out on its own 2 feet, which is good.